We are back. It is Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen, Eddie Garrison with me as well. Recapping Colts rookie minicamp. We'll now get into, about a week or two where it's just kind of this phase 2 period. And I know the NFL schedule will be out on Wednesday, so we'll probably recap that early next week on the pod. But still about 2 weeks away from OTA. So I want to say it's like 2 weeks from Wednesday, maybe. Yeah, 2 weeks from Wednesday is the first viewing, the 28th. For us there. We'll get one viewing the following week, and then we'll get to watch that 3-day minicamp. Some news to get to, though, on today's pod outside of minicamp. We'll update you on the latest with Zaire Franklin and just the linebacker position in general. And then we will play back the Riley Leonard interview. We got Riley Leonard on with us back in whatever that was. I don't know. Last week, the week before that. I don't know. One of those days after he was drafted.
April 30th.
April 30th. Thank you, Eddie. And so we'll replay that here coming up for you in a few. Mr. Garrison, how goes it?
Well, Mr. Garrison is my father. Well, I appreciate you trying to give me some sort of respect.
You're a professional.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Sometimes.
Sometimes? When aren't I a professional, huh? Let me know so I can grow and mature. As great as Jake Query would say, mature. In my young career.
Oh, boy. I don't know if we need to go there.
Yes, sirs, right? How about him?
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, we're recording this the morning after Game 4. One of the wildest second quarters I've ever seen. That flurry there to end it. Usually you see like a timeout when there's runs like that, but there just wasn't a timeout at all. It felt like Turner could have shot one from Kokomo. It would have gone in there. And, the effort. The execution against the zone, total 180 from Friday night. So we'll see if the Pacers can finish it off. Coming up tomorrow in Cleveland. If there is a Game 6, I assume you'll see a Colt player or two in the building. Coming up Thursday. Let's get to the Zaire Franklin news, because I did think that item is probably, honestly, the biggest headline exiting rookie minicamp before we get into that. So we had a cleanup on his ankle. I believe that was last Wednesday. Shane Steichen hopes that Zaire Franklin will be ready for the start of camp. I think there is a little bit of this might linger a little into camp. It could linger, I should say, a little into camp. So I just bring that up to I don't think it would be the most alarming or unexpected thing if he missed, maybe the first couple days at Grand Park. Nonetheless, this is obviously unfortunate. I think any time you hear NFL player has off-season surgery, well, that's not the end of the world. But ideally, you would have off-season surgery on, January 12th, not May 12th or, last Wednesday, whatever date that was. So I think that is where you begin with the unfortunate nature, is you want this stuff to get done early in the off-season. And then it's kind of interesting, Eddie. Like, the Colts really don't view linebacker in a very high regard under Lou Anarumo. Like, don't get me wrong, they had interest in some linebackers. It just didn't work out in the draft. That interest, really dropped off after, kind of the first handful of guys. But, they won't play as many linebackers as they did under Gus Bradley, and I don't think you're going to see a huge emphasis. Like, obviously, D-line wise, they spent a second-round pick there. And, if you look in free agency, they spent, big money in the secondary and then came back in round 3 and also drafted a corner. Again, if the right opportunity would have presented itself, I don't think they would have turned away from a linebacker, but they didn't feel the need to go out there and make an above-and-beyond move, if you will, at linebacker. And I think the unfortunate nature comes from no Franklin, no Jalen Carlies as he's recovering from the shoulder surgery. Obviously, Carlies needs the reps individually more than Franklin does, considering their respective careers and how much they've played. But, you're down your 2 starting linebackers during the entire installation period of the spring. I do think that's unfortunate. I do think that is something not to just kind of sweep under the rug and act like it's a nothing burger. Because when you roll out week 1, Shagun Alubi and Cameron McGrone, or Shagun Alubi and Liam Anderson, I don't know, whoever your linebackers are going to be here in the spring, they're not playing week 1. I mean, that's Franklin and that's Carlies playing probably every snap or close to you on that. So Again, just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Franklin's own individual health, sure, but for the most part, this dude has been super durable in his career. Let's say he misses a weekend at Grand Park. That still is a full month ramp-up period to the start of the regular season. Carlisle might be the one you point to and say, well, he could really use these spring reps. But more than that, I just think you're installing a defense that has a few more complexities than last year's scheme. DeForest Buckner said it last week, Eddie. I kind of learned about Louis Anarumo, mad scientist, on the first install day of the spring. And so clearly a little bit more is being thrown at them. So wanted to make sure we got to that Franklin news.
Do you think you would be, I would more so want to know how serious or what the, surgery was for. Was it just to clean something up? Did he have like a small fracture?
Yeah, they say clean up in the, in the actual language of it. And again, if he misses a week of camp, that would be about the first week of May to the end of July. So what's that, 2.5 months?
Yeah.
So, obviously it's not nothing, clearly. I just fall into this camp quite often. One, you just want this stuff to get done early in the offseason. And sometimes it's unavoidable. Things get piled up during the offseason, and all of a sudden you come and test it out a little bit more in a real setting of, early period of OTAs, and that's it. So, and then the other aspect of it, too, again, I think is the fact that you are going to miss your quarterback of the defense from an installation standpoint. And communication, I think, is going to be critical. And, it just kind of puts further pressure, I think, on your defensive line to help out that linebacker group. And, I think I've said it over the last couple of weeks when we've talked about linebacker in regards to the draft or the offseason as a whole. Franklin is becoming so indispensable. And now he's dealing with something here that, again, could impact the start of training camp for him. So, really, it seems like the only somewhat notable health situation, obviously Carlisle's as well. But, linebacker, again, just not a super emphasis here in the Anarumo scheme.
Before we get to your Tyler Warren takeaways and the rest of the rookies from minicamp over the weekend, KB, if you were a social media director for an NFL team, how would you do a schedule release video?
Oh, boy. That's a great one.
Or how would you release the schedule?
The Chargers have had some excellent ones in poking fun at their opponents. They used anime one year, and I forget what they did most recently, but they are really good with their schedule release. I thought the Colts one last year was pretty good. Is that when they went to the school, that little that elementary school nearby? They had like Steichen and Grover and Buckner and like sitting in the actual school.
I think so. And then 2 years ago,
I don't think Steichen was actually at the school. But
eating through the schedule, right?
Buckner and Stewart did the eating food. They had Andrew Luck read it one year, then I think he retired that year. So maybe that probably isn't one that they should go back to. But, I am looking forward to the schedule release. I guess, should we mention the schedule release a little bit here? A couple things to note.
Should they tie it in with IndyCar, the month of May?
Ooh, that could work. Yeah, that could work. The Colts want the double West Coaster. They want to do stay on the West Coast for a week. If you look at their schedule, they have Seattle, they have the Chargers, they have the Rams. You've seen some teams do this when they have the multiple West Coast games. They would like to pair two of those games together, so they're not making 3 separate trips to the West Coast. I mean, when you think about that, Eddie, 3 separate trips to the West Coast and Berlin, that's a whole lot on the mileage. So keep an eye out for that. The Colts want that. And this schedule in general is just much more of a West Coast schedule, or I should say much more of a tough road schedule. The home schedule, I think, is kind of blah. It's like Kyler Murray and Tua and I guess whatever the 49ers are. We'll get the announcement tomorrow morning. That would be Tuesday, the 13th, on the international game. I assume the bye week would be right after that. The bye week's been so late. Last couple of years, it's been in that December. I think ideally you would have kind of a just after Halloween type of bye week. So those will probably be some of the things that I'm watching for. I think of your 8 road games, I want to say 5 are against playoff teams from last year. So again, much more of a road schedule.
Alec Pierce was at the track over the weekend, so maybe there's a little bit of a tie-in there, maybe. Or unless he was just doing the IndyCar experience.
Yeah, so I did the fastest two-seater.
So did James Boyd. Did you guys talk about that?
We did, yes.
Okay.
He's had a busy offseason. Alec Pierce, not James Boyd. Derby, won the NFLPA golf outing.
He did?
Through the first pitch at Wrigley Field. I will say this to him. I was expecting a little more out of the first pitch. He strikes me as just a crazy good athlete. He said he was a little hesitant because they brought out the mascot with the big glove. And he didn't want to injure the mascot, which, probably shows you how Alec Pierce is wired. But unless you got anything else schedule-wise, let's get into rookie takeaways before we get to Mr. Riley Leonard.
KB, you were out at West 56th Street. What were your overall impressions of the rookies that were on the field, starting with Tyler Warren?
Eddie, the first play, 7-on-7. Riley Leonard under center, drops back, looks over the middle of the field. There's Warren. Riley Leonard throws a ball that is probably meant more for Bull or Minute Bull to catch. And nonetheless, Tyler Warren climbs up the ladder, makes the grab, runs upfield. I'm like, that probably truly encompasses Tyler Warren as a collegiate and probably Riley Leonard as a collegiate as well. So, Warren, he was targeted a good amount in 7-on-7. The 11-on-11 was a little bit quieter. But it is one of those things when you watch Warren, especially make some catches out of his catch radius, I think he's just more of a natural mover when extending and or jumping for balls than most. I think most tight ends are naturally just a little stiffer in those situations. I mean, they're carrying a lot of height and a lot of weight. It's what kind of separates the elite ones from not the elite ones. I think the Colts view, Warren is a guy that is pretty good kind of in those sorts of areas. I'm eager to see more DJ Giddens. I like the look. I like the speed. I continue to be amazed that he was, the 13th, 14th, 15th? I don't know what he was. Running back taken in this draft. Not Reed Travis. Jalen Travis was at right tackle. It sounds like, I think right now if I had to kind of pencil the future of those tackles, because, you've taken a lot in the middle rounds lately. I mean, it's been a run, I think, every year. Ryman in round 3, Freeland in round 4, Gonzalez in 3, Travis in 4. I think
Bortolini.
I'm thinking more tackle guards, but yes, Bortolini in that range at center. I think they look at Gonzalez and say, guard, Travis, tackle. I think if you're kind of projecting forward. Now, we'll see about Braden Smith's situation with the contract year and everything, but I think that's kind of how they view it right now. Justin Wally was playing outside corner, again, down the road. I think there was some thought he could potentially be a nickel. But one thing, too, you go back and we watch Wally. I mean, they played against Penn State this season. You watch him make a tackle on Tyler Warren in space in that game. You don't see 5'10", 185, 5'10", 190. I mean, he does. I think he has a willingness to play bigger. And honestly, that can be 90% of the battle as a corner. Are you willing or are you not? Because I think if you're willing, you can take proper angles and throw your body in there. That can make up for, maybe you lack 10 pounds here or 10 pounds there. So, again, rookie minicamp, it's probably smart not to make too much of it. There was I think Warren was targeted one time at 11-on-11, and Leonard threw kind of threw a Richardson ball, if you will, just kind of the high fastball that went off Warren's hands. And it's like, okay, is that a drop? Is that an errant throw? One of those situations that you had. Undrafted class, Eddie, there's an article up on 107.5 The Fan. We won't go over them individually. I did find it interesting. There's a million wideouts and there's no offensive guard. I feel like if I were some of the agents of those wideouts, I'd kind of be like, wait, what? How is my guy going to make the team when I think there's 4 wideouts in the 15-man undrafted class. That's a lot. And there's no guard, which surprised me. There's a couple linebackers, a couple safeties. It sounds like Hunter Wardler may be more safety than linebacker, by the way. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, Anarumo will throw some dime linebacker situations in there, which, could use a body type like him, but that was something to note as well. They brought in a big leg kicker. It seems like they really like that mold of a kicker. Honestly, Maddox Trujillo from Temple, I think Austin P maybe before Temple, very similar resume to Spencer Schrader. when he came out of Notre Dame. Schrader also transferred from South Florida before that. So I feel like that kind of covers everything from a rookie standpoint. They now will integrate with the veterans. Again, phase 2 here, I believe the next 2 weeks, and then we'll get to phase 3, which is the actual 11-on-11. No full pads again in the spring, but that's the actual 11-on-11 stuff. So, Warren looks the part. I think it's important to remember it's rookie minicamp, and there are tryout dudes out there, and Latu absolutely embarrassed these tryout offensive tackles last year, and Josh Downs absolutely embarrassed some corners a couple years ago. Tyler Warren, I don't want to say flat out embarrassed, but he definitely looked the part with having some inconsistent quarterback play around him.
Anything else to add, or would you like to transition now to your conversation with Riley Leonard?
Let's do it. Riley Leonard with us on the Fan Morning Show here a couple weeks back. The Notre Dame quarterback, pick 189.
Good morning, Riley Leonard. We got a big Notre Dame fan here on staff, too. But I got to ask you, are you a big basketball fan, too? Do you watch pro sports like the rest of us?
Absolutely. I watched Indy get that dub last night. What a game.
Have you seen his high school highlights, by the way?
I was going to say, Riley Leonard's a hooper, right?
Right.
Boy, Riley. They should have called you last night for that.
Coach K wouldn't have retired as early as he did had he known that you were on campus, right?
That's right.
Riley Leonard joins us here. Of course, the Colts 6th-round pick. You were ready to go, Riley, on Saturday afternoon. James Boyd, our fellow co-host here in studio, him and I were on the Zoom call with you, and you were decked out in the Colts gear. Let our audience know a little bit of why you felt like, 'cause it's not like you had 31 other teams of gear just sitting there in your home there. You had a feeling, right? The Colts were going to be taking you?
Absolutely. I mean, when the draft was going on, 31 picks, I'm out throwing the football in the yard, but whenever the Colts were on the clock, I was inside waiting. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just had a feeling, after my visit went with them and the relationship I had with the coaches, I just knew it was the place for me, right? It's in Indiana, Notre Dame's 2 hours away. I mean, there's not much more of a perfect fit you can ask for. Phillip Rivers, who obviously played there, is 500 yards. He lives 500 yards from me, and Peyton and I have a good relationship as well. So, I mean, there's nothing more perfect for me than to be in Indianapolis.
What is that Peyton relationship? Is that Manning Passing Academy?
That is, yeah, Manning Passing Academy, and then I played for Coach Cut.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then my trainer is also his trainer, so there's a lot of connection there.
Beyond all that stuff, what was it about meeting with Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard that also made you feel comfortable? Where'd you fall in there?
I think when you're meeting with the head football coach of a team, and he's got his feet kicked up, and it's very welcoming, and we're just talking ball and talking about life and things like that, and we just let the conversation go wherever it leads. It's a good sign, and it feels like home. I think Coach Steichen did a great job of just welcoming me in on my top 30 visit. I mean, shoot, you don't see a head coach very often spend 3-4 hours of his day getting to know a quarterback that's in the draft that's not even a part of his team yet. But Coach Steichen took that time for me, so I really appreciated that.
Oh, Riley, you will get to know Shane Steichen very well because he will talk ball with a wall if he could, because that's how he is and how I've come to know him to be. And they did, and Mike Lacey said that he was very impressed with your pro day at Notre Dame, also impressed with that final year at Notre Dame. Obviously, you had some success at Duke, but what do you think that last year with the Fighting Irish did for you and your pro prospects?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing, it gave me a lot of confidence, being able to go to the national championship game and play against a great team like Ohio State and walk off the field thinking, man, I got so much more football in me. I'm an okay player now, but I think I can just grow so much at the next level. And, playing against the best of the best, you kind of understand where your talent is. And I think, when I play against my best competition, I play well. So I think it kind of showed me that I can hang with anybody and have a successful career at the next level.
That's the voice of Riley Leonard, of course, Notre Dame quarterback, and now a member of the Colts 6th-round pick. Rookie minicamp coming up next weekend here for the Colts. Riley joins us on this Wednesday morning. I mean, your toughness, Riley, is absolutely through the roof. Again, as Jeff mentioned, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, and it was just damn impressive watching you lay it all on the line. Certainly the opening drive in the national title game speaks for itself. I know it because I'm a borderline psychotic Notre Dame fan. For our Colts fans out there that might not know it, could you share a little bit of background on maybe a text message your mom likes to send you before each game?
Yeah, sure. So I guess most people in the country know about this by now, but it kind of started in high school. Was never really supposed to blow up or anything. I was always a guy that would get praised all the time. Riley this, Riley that, right? Small town in Alabama. Everybody would always tell me how good I was all the time. So I remember going home and telling my parents, man, it's just so frustrating. I need some motivation. I need somebody to tell me I suck every once in a while. And my mom gladly took that and ran with it. Before every game, before this interview, she's telling me not to stutter. Random stuff like that is kind of, she gives me a little extra motivation. So she made wristbands now, and I wear it with me, wherever I go. She had Duke colored ones. Then we had to switch to Notre Dame colored ones. But the good thing is Duke and the Colts share the same colors, so I can just go back to those. So, it's a tradition that's kind of unique to us, and I guess everybody knows about it now.
Motivation for Mrs. Leonard right here. Thanks to Riley for sharing that with us on this Wednesday morning. You mentioned on the Zoom call over the weekend when you got drafted, operating from the pocket is an area of growth. What does that look like? Where do you need to grow as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think just being more disciplined with my eyes to start, right? So, for example, instead of seeing a lot and looking at certain areas of the field and breaking the field down into thirds, I really want to look at, specific defenders when I can, right? If it's a smash concept and you're supposed to high-low the guy, instead of just kind of looking in that area, really read that defender and his body language. They say see a little, see a lot. So that's one thing. And then, speeding up my feet in the pocket is another thing. Phillip Rivers, who I've had the chance to work with, obviously is arguably the best baby 5 dropper of all time. So it's been cool to work with him. I think when you watch my 2-minute tape and I'm forced to play fast, it's really my best tape. But when I get lackadaisical and take these long 3-step drops in the pocket is when I can become a little less efficient with my mechanics.
Riley, did you get a chance to talk to JT yet? Not JT as in Jonathan Taylor, but JT Tuimoloau about him sacking you in the national championship? Would you just walk into the locker room and say, "Hey, man"? Oh.
I could. I'm sure that'll be the first conversation we have. Though I threw him a bone. I knew he was going to be my future teammate, so I let him get one. And then one serious one from me. What do you think you can learn from a quarterback room that includes Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones? Yeah, 2 things that those guys have is extreme athleticism. So it'd be cool to be able to, implement my game into their game. I think that they're both incredible playmakers and use their bodies when they need to, but they're not out here, doing what I tried to do in college, is jumping over people all the time. So hopefully I can learn a little bit more about, being disciplined and keeping my body safe, right? The best ability is availability. So hopefully they can teach me that. And then, 2 guys with huge arms. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And obviously they're great guys in the locker room. So I'm really just going to be a sponge.
He's a pretty likable dude, is he not?
Yes, he is.
Super, super likable, Riley Leonard. And I get why the Colts drafted him. Again, I've expressed that the accuracy is some real concern. Operating from the pocket is real concern. Will he get enough reps to grow in that area? But the Colts, while the Colts aren't betting on that trait, they are betting on like 4 or 5 other traits. Tough as hell, dual threat, great size, great character. When you get to round 6, let's say there's 7 traits a quarterback has. He's got decent arm strength. He possesses like 5 or 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the accuracy one is the one that you have the biggest question mark. And there was even a point where he scrambled and kind of got to the sideline. It's like, oh boy, even that gap just closes a little bit more. And I think he knows that deep down. I think he even kind of said that in that interview of like, I know that, my legs, it's still a threat, but you can't live doing that in the NFL. And honestly, the person that said that more than anybody has been Ballard over the years. At some point, you have to deliver from the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Ballard's words. And at some point, Riley Leonard is going to have to do that here. So if he's going to stick. So yes, thank you to Riley Leonard for that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He took an acting class, right?
Yes. He did a little theater action when he was at Notre Dame there. So, I don't know if he, is going to be at the, Madam Walker Theater or all of a sudden, beef and boards here locally, but maybe he could dabble in that.
Well, Broadway is coming to Indy next year, so there is that. What was he? What did he partake in? Did he elaborate on what either plays or scenes or whatever?
Yeah, not too much. They had, Notre Dame had like their version of Hard Knocks on Peacock this year, and they showed him like in the class and doing some acting and everything. And I don't think he was transferring to Juilliard after Notre Dame by any means or anything like that. But
how many times have you watched the Notre Dame Hard Knocks version?
Not as much as you would think. I think I've watched it twice through. But I'm starting to get back into the highlight reels from the season, especially
really?
The playoff games, and they make me very excited.
Is this just to get you hyped for next year, or is this
It's a good reminder for like Pacer fans.
You just need something to cheer you up.
It's just like so important, I think, at some point with fans to like live in the moment.
Yeah.
And I had to remind myself of that during the Notre Dame run. It's like, wait a minute, is it going to end? Well, I mean, they can't beat Ohio State. I'm sure there are some Pacer fans out there like, oh man, 7-game series with the Celtics, we're not going to beat them. Or 7-game series with the Thunder, we're not going to beat them. Okay, that's fine. We can have that discussion at some point. But it's like, guys, enjoy this right now.
Yeah.
The Pacers went 6 years without a playoff win. 9 years without a playoff series win. The Colts have gone how long without hosting a home playoff game? They've won how many playoff games in that span?
Yeah.
Like when you get in these moments, it's just like, this is how, you should, Purdue fans, celebrate the run to the national title. Notre Dame fans, I don't know. There is part of me, it's just like, I needed to remind myself of that around Notre Dame, and it's probably good for all fans to remind themselves of that.
5 Twitter questions to get you. Are you ready for them?
Let's do it.
Starting with Colton, say Anthony Richardson wins most improved player. Do you think the Colts should still keep him or move on? Sounds like a dumb question, but it seems like there is a stigma with AR's character.
Oh boy, if he's winning most improved, hell yeah, you're keeping him, right? I mean, if he wins most improved, aren't you a playoff team?
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you think that meets kind of the normal criteria for that award? He's probably healthy enough, if nothing else. And keeping him means what, Eddie? It really just means
your option.
Yeah, that's what it means. I mean, you're not committing $300 million to him. All you're doing is just extending his rookie deal by 1 year, through 2027, if I have my years right. So I don't I don't I think that's totally fine. Especially if he wins most improved. I mean, that would be some might call that a dream scenario here. If he was able to do that. Is stigma with his character? Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of he said, she said. I know a lot of people brought up kind of the McAfee comments. Quarterbacks are held to a different standard. Like, Eddie, when you and I meet at 10 a.m. for this podcast.
Yep.
I think Richardson is a walk in the door at 9:59 type of guy. Where there are some quarterbacks that believe, no, you need to be in that podcast studio by 9:50 or 9:30. He's just
or 9.
Or 9. Yeah, I mean, he's and okay, is that ingrained in him? Is that I don't think there's like maliciousness in his character or anything like that. It's a little bit like the Benedict Mathurin move from last night. Like Benedict Mathurin gets ejected in the game, and it's just I don't think Benedict Mathurin's Draymond Green. Let me be clear.
That play happens all the time, though.
But he's just petty as shit, and he's just a little shit at times.
Yeah.
And
it's like a gnat or a mosquito.
And when you do what you did in Game 3, double technical between the two, when you stand over Hunter in Game 1 after the block, the refs are going to be watching that. So if you're Anthony Richardson and you've had a couple of these, whatever, don't do it again. Like, they watch you differently than they watch others. In Richardson's case, they watch you differently because you have the C on the chest.
Yeah.
Because you're the quarterback. In Matherin's case, it's because you're a repeat offender. They're not egregious offenses, but they're watching you differently than they're watching Ben Shepherd when he gets in the game.
Drew would like to know, what expectations should the Colts have for Tyler Warren? Brock Bowers and Kyle Pitts had 1,000 yards and over 100 targets. From a franchise standpoint, Dallas Clark and Kobe Fleener had around 30 receptions and approximately 300 yards with a couple of touchdowns their first season in the league.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you see a variety in rookie numbers. I mean, Drew just lays some of that out there. Obviously, the Dallas Clark supporting cast, it probably should be mentioned, had some talent around him.
Did it?
That was influencing.
What kind of talent?
Well, some Hall of Fame talent.
Really?
I think
that's news to me.
Down the road. I think Sam Laporta had a decent start to the rookie year as well. I saw that Warren's over-unders. Have you seen them yet?
No, sir, I have not.
You want to take a stab? How many catches do you think for Tyler Warren, the over-unders? For his rookie season.
Let's see, 17 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go 15 and a half.
You gamble a lot. How did you know that?
I
you got issues.
I mean, I just kind of figured,
if you get the yards 34. Right, I might have to just stop the podcast.
So if it's that 50 and a half, let's say he averages 9 yards a catch, so 450 and a half.
550 and a half. That was smart by you to fake that answer just so people didn't think you were like insanely degenerates. So yeah, I mean, those are, I don't know, maybe some people get that tight ends don't have huge numbers. Obviously, you aren't expecting a huge bit of growing pains. Like he should be a 3-down guy. He, produced at a major conference. Hell, he had one of the greatest tight end seasons we've ever seen in college football. I think, something to also note too, like you see the Dallas Goedert thing staying in Philly.
Yeah.
Like, they renegotiated, so he's staying in Philly. Really, if you look at it, Eddie, Kylan Granson is gone and Tyler Warren's in the room. Is that enough at tight end? You've gone from the same exact room, no Granson, here's Warren.
I think so.
Okay.
Or you would hope so.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but there is part of me that's like, damn, that room was super underwhelming last year. And the Colts would push back. The Colts would say, no, blocking-wise, what we asked from them, they did what we wanted. Okay. But that's really what you're looking at from the room standpoint.
TJ Hawkinson, now keep in mind he only played 12 games as a rookie, 32 catches, 59 targets, 367 yards receiving, and he had 2 touchdowns when it comes to Dalton Kincaid, another one of those recent first-round picks at the tight end position. Played 16 games in 2023, 73 receptions on 91 targets, 673 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So it kind of varies.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's probably the best way to put it.
Next is Alex. The fact that Chris Ballard says this on the Rich Eisen podcast is mind-blowing considering
Rich
he hasn't...
Eisen to ESPN?
I did see that. Kind of wild, right? Mind-blowing, as Alex put it. Considering he hasn't won anything himself in the 9 years he's been in Indianapolis. If the plan was to start someone else over Anthony Richardson, why not fire everyone and start new? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think people are... whatever. I think people are... Occasionally when they hear Ballard talk.
By the way, what did Rich Eisen say? Because I think that's probably a Twitter DM that had a video attached with it.
Yeah, Ballard made an appearance on there and basically just talked about his tenure at this point and the window that they created with Richardson. I think it gets back to, Eddie, remember at the Combine when I asked him why he's getting a 9th year?
Yeah, I do.
It's that answer that I think frustrates people. Again, I appreciate Ballard's candor, but basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but when they fired Frank Reich and they ended up hiring Shane Steichen, first-time head coach, and then drafting Anthony Richardson, the rawest quarterback in round 1 history of the NFL, they committed to a window.
Yeah.
And clearly that window has now been open for 3 years, and we'll see how long it's open. I get the impression from Ballard he's super comfortable. He is super comfortable. So these are the answers you're going to hear. And I've tried to kind of separate it from the podcast. These questions do get sent what? I feel like we get this question, like once every kind of third pod, maybe, Eddie?
Yeah, probably.
Just a whole like Ballard evaluation.
Yeah.
So I guess to continue to answer it, because I'm not going to ignore the questions, I'm also not going to go out of my way to bring it up unless, this to me was much more of a January, February conversation. No, I don't think the Ballard resume deserved a 9th year at all. I think I've made that very, very clear. Now, where I've tried to move on is like, he is getting a 9th year, so let's react to that. Let's react to the moves he's making, the moves he's not making. How did he handle free agency? How did he handle the defensive side of the ball with Anarumo and Gus Bradley? How he handled the draft? All of those things. But, he strikes me. Strikes me as a dude that's just super, super comfortable. And I would probably be a little bit more. That's maybe how he's wired a little bit personality-wise, but I don't know, man. It's we could really use a Jim Irsay combo of like, what is 2025? Is it playoff or bust? Is it division title or bust? You see a lot of different shapes and forms of firings in the NFL.
Yep.
And this one would be a rather obvious firing in a lot of places, but it's not been here. How much of that is due to Irsay's health? How much of that is due to Irsay's immense belief in Ballard? Those are all, to me, very, very fair questions. And again, the longer this goes on, you're going to probably get to training camp and hear from Irsay, and it's like, well, at that point, you're a month away from the start of the season. It's just the hype and the surrounding of the team is just different than January and February, where people are deciding whether to renew their season tickets or not.
Yeah. Sam would like to know, do either
One
Justin...
more thing to add. Sorry.
Rude. Cutting me off.
Well, I thought Alex specifically asked about, like, if the plan was to start someone else over Richardson, why not fire everyone and start anew? I get why that frustrates people. Like, I think a lot of people are like, hey, with Richardson, you're tied at the hip. So when he goes, you go. Now, again, the Colts would say different. The Colts would say, hey, if Daniel Jones beats him out, we're not done with Anthony Richardson. He's still on a rookie contract. He's 23 years old, 22 years old, however old he is. We're still keeping him. Now, a lot of people laugh at that, but I'm just telling you, that's how I think internally the Colts view it. So I throw the hands up in the air a bit. Yes, I would agree with you. If you have to start in a different quarterback direction, it's like, how many chances are you getting at that position? That frustrates people. But because I'm thinking of, like, you brought back this group to say, all right, Anthony, here's your healthy offseason. We're going in. This is you, year 3, critical. The ship will sink, the ship will float. One of the two. Whereas the Daniel Jones thing is like, well, there's a little life raft over there. We'll see how that goes.
Are you going to cut me off this time, or can I get to Sam's question?
Gosh, you're going to hold that against me.
Do either Justin Wally or DJ Giddens have history in college of returning kicks? Could you see either one of them get time during the preseason at returning kicks? Or does it seem like it's either Anthony Gould or Tyler Goodson's job to lose?
Yeah, none for Wally. He's a 4-year starter, so I think at times you don't see that. And Giddens is a 1,000-yard rusher. Often Notre Dame had like a walk-on corner doing their punts, so it doesn't surprise me that neither of them did it. Gould and Goodson both have got to make the team too.
Hunter Wohler?
He did do little punts, didn't he? A little. Ashton Doolin's still around. You want to talk about like security blanket? Mm-hmm. I think he could certainly be that for you. Again, kickoff numbers were a little bit higher. Now, this year, they've bumped the touchback to the 35. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to entice even more returns. And I think if you saw it last year, it seemed to be kind of boom or bust with a lot of those kickoff returns. Brian Mason, the special teams coordinator, was throwing some numbers at us. I think the kickoff percentage went from 21 to 32% this past year. And the average was like the 29-yard line on the return. Again, the Colts got gashed by the Giants there in week, whatever that was, 16, 17. And that was a huge play in that game. So, yeah, I guess, like Downs, to me, is probably too valuable to be using as a punt returner. Mm-hmm. You told him to go out there and fair catch it every time. But I thought Downs, too, has been a pretty effective punt returner. Just like getting, extra first down here or there. So, yeah, Gould's going to have a great opportunity. But that I mean, you're talking about a 6 wide out and a 4th running back. Those aren't slam dunks to make the team.
So Matt watched the Dallas Clark video to Tyler Warren, and it got him thinking. When he mentioned Irsay and the girls, and maybe wonder, in your opinion, KB, how involved are they these days compared to Mr. Irsay? Obviously, his health plays a big role, but I've noticed in the Colts draft videos, they're being featured more and more. If the Colts don't meet expectations this season, who do you think will ultimately be making the final call about the future of the organization? Any thoughts or insights?
Yeah, I mean, Carly Irsay Gordon is definitely the day-to-day daughter. I would say you would call her kind of the main takeover person. She's the one you see on the sidelines for those that are trying to put a face to the name. She's the one on the headset. Now, I think Kaylin Jackson, the youngest of the 3. So Carly's the oldest, Casey Foyt is the second, and then Kaylin Jackson's the youngest. I think she's a tremendous communicator. Like, honestly, she's probably the one I'd want front-facing the most moving forward. And you do still see her. Like, when Tyler Warren was greeted, I think in the lobby, I think you see both Kaylin and Carly in that video greeting her. Now, she's probably more like prominently known, I guess, to Colts fans maybe for the kicking the stigma stuff. And also their COO, Pete Ward, is probably approaching a bit of a retirement age. You know, the Pacers just passed their baton from a COO standpoint, Rick Fuson to Mel Raines. But I guess in general, it kind of gets back to the last question, or the question we had earlier.
And not to mention on the Pacers front of things, too, you had Stephen Rails become a minority owner, and now he's kind of slowly keeps purchasing more and more of it.
Right. And they'll have, Herb Simon to his son Stephen at some point will be, certainly something that'll be of note. I think the big thing, Eddie, is like how healthy is Jim to make these decisions? Like JMV, our afternoon host here in India, has said before, he feels like had Jim been healthier, you would have seen more drastic changes than you have within the last offseason or two.
I was a little surprised that he wasn't in the draft room.
Correct. Yeah, he was not. I don't know if he was, virtually in there, but yeah, he was not in there.
Because virtually or present, in the room, it would have been nice to hear from him at some point in the video. Like, I remember during the COVID year, they had him on Zoom, and he was right there.
Right.
With comments.
Obviously, want the best for Jim Irsay and his health. That's first and foremost. I've said this before about Jim. I think he does some incredible philanthropic stuff for our city. Stuff that you don't even see. I think he's tremendous for embracing our market, wanting us to be here. He's oftentimes been a very public voice for our city and our franchise in the grander scale of the NFL, and I think that's really important when you're in a small market to have that. So, hell, without Jim Irsay, I probably don't have a job, frankly, and some trickle-down effect of it all. Having said all of that, I think he should have done a Zoom at the end of the season. A Zoom.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him in the post-game locker room week 18, Eddie. I thought he sounded very good.
Yeah.
So, if you have questions about his movement, if you have questions about him physically, it sounds like that is contributing to not going to the owners' meetings or not going to some of these road games or, those things. That is all fine and dandy. I understand that he's been through a ton from a health standpoint, particularly physically. So Zoom it. I mean, you brought up COVID. We did several Zooms with him. I can picture him in that big chair right now in his office doing that Zoom. I kind of viewed it as you owe it to your fan base for a 10, 15-minute Zoom to expand on the pen letter that, was just a press release. And I think it's important to speak to your fans in a direct manner. I think you do owe it to them. They pay good money. You've been a very transparent owner over the years. I'm just a big believer in sports, and I guess this goes for Tyrese Halliburton on Friday night after Game 3. When it's good, when it's bad, when it's blah, you speak. I'm not asking you to speak for an hour. I'm not asking you to pour your heart out, but I'm asking you to speak. Owe it to your fan base. And I would argue an NFL owner owes it to his fan base even more than an NBA player.
Does he owe it to the rest of the league, too? To the other owners?
Expand on that.
So, we haven't obviously here locally, we have not seen or heard from him. Has the league office, have other owners had conversations with Jim Irsay to know how he's doing and where he's at in his recovery process? And if not, then could this also be something for them as well, not just here for us in the local media and for the fans and the city?
Yeah, I don't know that answer. I would assume he's probably virtually wired into some of these, league-wide meetings like you saw at the end of August or the end of March, I should say. Because we're going to get to whatever, let's say joint practices in mid-August, and there is no greater hype speech in the entire world
than the Jim Irsay golf cart interview
from Grand Park. I mean, you are just a week or two away from the start of the season. I mean, it is perfect time. To me, the end of the year is kind of like your quarterly updates to your shareholders. It is Ballard does a State of the Union right when the season ended. Again, I'm not asking Jim Irsay to get up to a podium in 90-degree weather and stand outside. I think a Zoom to talk to your fan base when you are in the worst playoff drought your franchise has been in 30 years, in your ownership, if you want to get specific to Jim. I think the Colts have the fourth longest playoff drought in the entire NFL. I think it's important when it's going good, talk. When it's going bad, talk. You owe it to everybody. You and I did this during the season, Eddie. How many tweets did we get after wins versus losses last season? It's just, one thing that does bother me is just at times, and that's why this is where I do credit Ballard. I don't think Ballard's a front runner at all. I think Ballard is he'll talk when it's good, he'll talk when it's bad, it is candid, et cetera, et cetera. That's how it should be. And for the most part, Irsay is that as well. But lately, we just haven't seen that. And I understand his physical health is hindering him to hold these press conferences. But the day and age of Zoom is very readily available. And I think it'd be nice if we had that, especially earlier in the season. Earlier in the offseason, I should say. Anything else?
Nothing for me.
He is Eddie Garrison. I am Kevin Bowen. We'll be back next week again. Probably a little schedule release reaction. And we are inching closer to OTAs. 2 weeks from Wednesday. Content up, 1075thefan.com.